Hey, what's up, Closer Nation? Welcome to the Hardcore Closer Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Stewman, and I'm excited for you. Today, we're doing something back-to-back. You know, we usually don't have guests on here, but last week I had some guests. This week I had some guests. Your guest is my guest, so we'll get into that in a second. But before I introduce our guests, I got to give you the rundown. The secret, it's not a secret. The most obvious thing that you can do to make more money as a business owner, as a salesperson, as anybody that wants, as a network marketer, as a work from home mom, as a hooker, it doesn't matter. Anybody that wants to make more money, the way to make more money is with leads. You need leads. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. It's that simple. You could have the greatest fucking product in the world. If you ain't got no leads, you ain't gonna make no sales. You could have the most amazing fucking product that just solves world hunger. But if you don't know how to get hungry people as leads, you will never prosper in that business. So how do you get leads? Well, first of all, they're all over the internet, right? Like everybody today's day and age, no matter what country you're in, is in the internet. So your job is to create content on the internet that makes them want to give you their information, AKA qualify them as a lead. How do you do that? Well, first of all, you clear your throat. Then you go to phonesites.com/closer. Go to phonesites.com. Listen, first of all, fuck your excuses. I know what you're thinking before I even say this. You can create a website in 10 minutes or less with no coding skills, and you're going, that sounds great, but it won't work for me. I'm that dumb. It's not true. I'm telling you, it will work for you. I have seen the most tech-challenged, blue-haired Marge Simpson grandma spit out a Phone Sites landing page in 7 minutes. It is totally possible. Like somebody who couldn't put the remote control batteries in properly and turn the TV on can make a fucking website with Phone Sites. It's that easy. And by the way, if you carry business cards, I'll give you for $1 the last business card you'll ever need your entire life. You can throw that stack of paper recycled bullshit that people just throw in the trash anyway. I will save you money there. But go to phonesites.com/closer, sign up, get some leads, get some money, and change your life. So that being said, we're hanging out today with my man, Shawn Sharma. What's up, big dog?
Man, I'm ready to buy into what you're saying.
How about that transition,
That's a crazy,
though?
Crazy pitch. I love it.
I've practiced this a few times.
I need one of those business cards.
Yeah, I will give you one before we leave. I believe I have a couple laying around here. So
awesome.
And we set up like so it's, I think they're called NPC. So you tap a card and the frequency transmitter launches the Bluetooth on the phone and it pulls up a website automatically. And then we made like, and we've been around longer, but the popular is like the Linktree stuff, right? So we have that, before that company existed, we've been around and we have like our version of that. So the business card goes right to their site, imports your contact information into their phone. And
power moves, guys, power moves.
It's just easier, you know what I mean? But what that's really done, between me and you, just chopping up a little business here, right? Is you call a corporation with salespeople and you say, hey, and this is how my mind works. It's like, hey, you guys need websites. And they're like, oh shit, regulation, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, out of control. All the, like corporations don't like that, right? Call them and say, hey, you guys use business cards? Yeah. $150 a month on average per employee that you got. Yeah. For $1. You know what I mean? You got 150 employees for $150 to be the last time you ever need a business card ever. I just saved you thousands of dollars. And by default, though, when they get the cards, they got to program them on the site, which literally takes 30 seconds. But they see how easy it is. Boom, sales like business been booming because of it. Because I needed something that made sense to get in front of them, even it's as simple as a business like a card, so that they could see how easy, man. It's been a tremendous change, man. So
that's a sales funnel right there. That's
exactly.
Smart.
Yeah, the business card sales funnel. So, but speaking of the business cards, credit cards rather, I got a lot of friends that have hit me up lately and they're like, man, what's your boy Shawn do? You know, absolutely. I mean, dude, to see you on Instagram, you look like that. Remember back in the day, like the rich kids of Instagram? You remember that shit? You like
they were wilding, yeah.
Yeah, you were just like one of those people. Just one day you're shopping for shoes in Paris, and then you're over here mining for gold in Dubai, and racing camels and fuck all this shit, man. You know what I mean? It's just like how do you create that life? Like how does somebody get there? Because it looks like you just do whatever the fuck Shawn Sharma wants to do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I would say it's a combination of two major things. So. One, I think with the internet, you get to have time freedom and location freedom, so you can be anywhere in the world. And a lot of times people think their time's limited to 24 hours a day, but people don't understand that you can hire VAs, you can have people that work for $4 an hour, and you can have hundreds of those people. And even if you don't know how to get those people, right, all you have to do is make an introduction to someone that does know VAs, that does manage VAs, trains VAs, and now you can have those in your company. But guys, I mean, I leverage the power of the internet with all my businesses. I don't think I have a single brick and mortar business. Actually, no, I have some money into a couple of hookah lounges, but all my businesses are online, and that's been one strategy I've leveraged. The second strategy is credit. So, even when I'm flying and I'm taking these $20,000 flights, I'm not paying $20,000. I'm actually getting the flights for free with points because I spend so much money in my business a month on my credit cards. They generate points. And I didn't stop there. A lot of people, they get those points, they don't know how to use them, right? They'll cash them out for gift cards. They'll give them to their wife and say, hey, go buy whatever you want at Macy's. But I figured out how to get the most value out of them. So the best currencies are Amex and Chase points. And you want to learn the partners and you want to figure out what are the sweet spots with the partners. It honestly only takes maybe 30 minutes to an hour of research. But, I did that and I figured out, okay, cool. I could buy an Emirates flight with Amex points for a million points, right? And that would get me a first class flight to Dubai and back. Or if I transfer those same points and I turn them into Emirates miles, I'm only going to spend 130,000 miles, right? So I basically just figured out how to maximize the currency. A lot of people don't spend time on it and think of it as a currency, but basically, man, a lot of the stuff I'm doing, man, I'm not paying like anywhere near what other people are paying. And a lot of times I'm paying cheaper than people are paying to be in economy. I'm just in first class on a lay flat bed. So I've just figured out ways to maximize what I'm doing. And then when I'm saving all this money, now I have more money to spend on other things like my business. Now I'm making more money next month. And then with credit, I have millions of dollars in business credit. So if I run ads or if I have a business partner that's running ads and he's making money, he's turning $1 into $2 and he only has 30 grand to run in ads. I'm like, yo, bro, here's my Amex, run it up, 50-50 split. And so I have a lot of ways to make money because of credit, but also I save a ton of money because of credit too. So credit's kind of the foundation, and then being able to build businesses online is just kind of taking it to the next level.
Man, that's wild. I never thought of points as another currency, but it's no different than crypto. It's worth whatever the fuck American
Absolutely.
Express assigns. So we just went, my wife and I, we went to the Four Seasons or St. Regis or something like that in Mexico somewhere recently,
Nice.
all on points,
Absolutely.
and man, that's really fucking smart.
There's
So
a lot
how
of-
did you learn that to convert it to
Absolutely. Man,
their miles?
Yeah, so I grew up real poor, and I was living in a trailer park in Alabama. My parents were living off $600 a month, and my biggest method to kind of become successful and break out of that and make money for my family was go get an education. So, I think I was in 8th grade, and my dad sat me down, and he was like, listen, these are the jobs you're going to have to work if you don't get good grades in high school. And because I'd been, the class clown, having a great time, sitting in the back of class, being the cool kid, going to the parties, not getting good grades at all. And my dad basically sat me down, and he was like, listen, like these 4 years matter. If you do well in these 4 years, you can get a scholarship, you can go to a good school, you can change your life, you can start making money, you can have a stable future. And so, luckily, I listened to him. And I ended up getting into Cornell, which was an Ivy League school. I got a full ride there. And the thing was, it was in Ithaca, New York, and I had to fly from Ithaca, New York to Foley, Alabama, and the tickets would always be like $1,000, $1,200, because it was like two small airports. You'd fly from Ithaca to Syracuse, then you'd wait 2 hours in Syracuse, then you'd fly to like Atlanta, then you'd fly to Pensacola, then my parents would pick me up an hour away. So I realized, like, man, I need to get these flights cheaper because my parents can't afford for me to fly home because they only get $600 a month. My parents are old, they're disabled, they've sacrificed everything. And I'm not able to see them because, I'm in college, but, I still want to see my parents. So I learned that a lot of kids, like their parents gave them all these credit cards and they would spend all this money on these credit cards, but they also got points. And sometimes these kids would begin these flights for free with points. And I was like, all right, wait, hold on. So I can get credit cards. They're going to give me bonus miles. Now, I don't have money to spend on the cards, but let me see if I can figure out a way to get these cards and get these bonuses without spending money. And so then I learned about something called manufactured spending. So it's like a whole community of people. They want to get all these reward points. They want to get $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in vacations a year, but they don't want to spend money on the credit card. So how do you do that? So there's a lot of strategies. You can buy items. You can flip them online. Back then, you could actually go take your credit card and you could go buy like PayPal, My Cash cards, and it would let you load up your PayPal balance. Well, what I would do is I would buy those, I would load up my PayPal balance, and I would transfer to my bank account and pay back my credit card. So literally, I would open these cards. At that point in time, it was so easy because the banks, they were spending a lot of money on acquiring customers. So all those bonuses were just to acquire customers.
Right.
You know, you'd get 100,000 miles for opening up a card and spending $5,000, and I didn't have to spend $5,000. I could go buy these gift cards and I would spend $50, and now I would have flights to go back home and back like maybe 3-4 times for free. And so I was literally getting like $5,000 in value for $50, and that's kind of how I got into the game back then. And then what happened really quickly is I realized like, oh well, why don't I start selling some of these points? Why don't I start making money off of this? And then even in college, man, I started making $1,000-$2,000 a month, which doesn't seem like a lot. Back then, it was a crazy amount of money.
In college, that's a lot of money.
Like my life completely changed because of credit, and it's crazy, man. Even now, I meet people that spend like millions a month on their business. They use their debit card, and I'm like, man, bro, if you switch to points, do you know just like 1 million Amex points could be worth $15,000 if you just cash them out, or if you book flights, that could be $100,000 in flights. And people just don't realize, and I'm like, man, it's crazy how certain knowledge is just missing, even at the bottom, but even at the top sometimes. And I think I make a lot of money now just because I meet people and I give them value and I teach them stuff, and they're just like, oh shit, wow, bro. Well, listen, man, I got this real estate deal, I got this deal, I got this business, and then they include me on a lot of stuff just because I know certain info that they don't know. And I think that's really what the economy is about. If you want to make money, you have to have certain information that is not common. And that's how you're going to be able to make money, because it's just an inefficiency, kind of in information, honestly.
Yeah, because every time everybody starts to do something, they knock it off. Everybody probably was buying those gift cards, so PayPal knocked the shit off. Everybody was probably converting to Emirates, so they knocked it off. So that's just how it goes.
The Emirates still works right now.
Oh, it still works right now.
Still works right now, yeah.
So don't screw that up for us, please. So, but that's the thing. I say all the time, the number one skill that you can have right now is being resourceful. And it sounds like that's what you've mastered. You know how to leverage the internet, your network, to be able to get whatever you want to make it happen. And for you, it's travel. I'm stuck here because I have a wife and kids. So for me, it's a watch or a car or whatever, right?
Absolutely.
But makes sense. Like you're hustling, you're hustling stuff in the same way that I'm hustling cars and watches all the time. Plus, being in first class in a lay down seat in Emirates, that introduces you to other people that are really ballers too.
You meet crazy people, man. Like I literally met a dude that manages a lot of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he was talking about making NFTs with them. And I don't really do that, but I linked them to some people that do development for NFTs, so I might get a few percentage points on a deal where I just met him on the plane. I didn't do anything to make that deal happen. So
yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
And a lot of folks don't realize it, but the reason why I'm always selling cars and watches is because who can afford cars and watches? Rich people. Who do I like doing business with? Rich people, right? So it keeps me in
it's all
proximity.
a strategy to get around those people, man. And a lot of people don't understand. It's like, I grew up with absolutely nothing, and then I saw other kids that were at Cornell, and they were just there because of their parents. Like they were terrible students. You'd be shocked. You don't have to get A's to go to Ivy League, guys. There's people with C's and D's, and they got DUIs in high school. Their parents buried it under the rug, and I don't know how, but these kids just were in the right place at the right time with the right people. And I think people know this. They know certain people have certain advantages, but then at the same time, they don't realize, okay, well, why don't I invest all my energy to get around the right people? Why don't I put money into finding the right people, the right network of people, people that can help me get to the next level? Because if you know the right people, you can literally become a millionaire just based off who you know, not even on your skills. And so I think that's the biggest mistake. Like people start off kind of like at the bottom, like me or you, but they don't like put in the energy and the effort to build their relationships and their contacts so that they can get out of there.
I mean, Fleischman, good example. Like even if he wasn't brilliant, he is actually very, very smart. But even if he wasn't, just the fact that he has all those connections, he'd be rich by default. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? And here's the thing. Like if I sell drugs, okay, I've been in this scenario, but if I sell drugs and I make a bunch of money selling, I never made a bunch of money selling drugs, but if I did make a bunch of money selling drugs, then but I'm around other drug dealers. I'm never around anybody who knows what the hell to do with anything other than cash, jewelry, and drugs, really, guns maybe, right? But they're not going to say, hey, here's how you open an IRA. Here's how you get credit. Here's how you convert crypto to this. Here's how you get Amex points and 700 credit score. They're not going to teach me that. So no matter how much money I have, if I'm still around the wrong people, my quality of life will not improve. Like money, that's when people say money won't buy you happiness. Money won't buy. You can go take that money from the drug dealing world and go buy a house and a car, and that be about the extent of anything that you know. And then at some point, the FBI will seize it. So there's that side of everything too. If you're balling at that level, that's who's coming for you. But again, you're around those people. Most of those guys and gals that sell dope, even if they're making 10, 20 grand a month, they're not buying houses. They're not buying respectable cars and shit, because it's just not what the people around them. Meanwhile, I'm willing to pay money, and have been since 2006. I started off paying $1,000 a month to the Zig Ziglar Corporation to have a coach, right? I had a guy that would come in, his name. Matter of fact, I seen that motherfucker running around the building last year. He's still in business. Brian Flanagan's his name, right? And he would come to my office at Willow Bend Mortgage, and he would sit down once a month, and we'd have an hour-long face-to-face coaching session. He was Zig Ziglar's right-hand man.
Wow, that's fire.
About the last 2 years of Zig's life, maybe 3 years of Zig's life, he wasn't actually teaching or anything. He was retired from the stage. I went and seen his last appearance on stage here at the American Airlines Center. Was the last place he spoke, I believe. And then hired them, and Brian basically was my coach for a couple years. 2010, I found Frank Kern, paid him. 2013, I found Kevin Nations and paid them. I've always paid to learn from somebody and to be in the room with other people who want to learn as well. And you know what? I started in those rooms, in Frank's room and Kevin's room, like piss poor, because I had made money and fucked it off through divorce and everything else, right? So I'm starting all over from scratch. But I firmly believe that since I was with the right people, like you said, Frank and Kevin and all, they actually had a program together. That's how OG I am. Kevin Nations and Frank Kern used to be partners, and that's how I met both of them through some programs. So one of the best programs out there ever still. But even though I was broke, and they became my resources, and I believe that's what got me here, is paying to be in those rooms. So many people all the time say, well, what am I going to learn from somebody? Even if it's a room full of idiots. Idiots got connections too. You know what I mean? Idiots know people too.
100%.
But the truth is, I'm not going to pay to be in a room full of idiots. I'm going to pay for proximity. And in the beginning, for me, it was masterminds. Now I feel like I've been through every damn mastermind that exists, or I'm still a member of the ones that I want to be, right? Which is cool. I'm a member of Apex and Arte and 100 Million, and obviously an owner in Avengers as well. And so, those are all that I really have time for, because that sounds like a lot now that I say it. But on the flip side, I'm still being in the rooms with those people. Now, like I said, I'll go buy watches. Like, I got a rich guy hits me up earlier. He's like, hey, man, you still selling a Lamborghini? He's like, no, but I'm about to find one for this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, man, what you got, like a 325 budget? Yeah, I'll probably find one for you. You know what I mean? Because now I get time in front of his face, and, next thing you know, be in Apex probably. So
yeah, that's the biggest thing, guys, is if you want to make a lot of money, you have to become a buyer. And I feel like a lot of people, they want to be...
Ain't that the fucking truth? Say it one more time.
If you want to make a lot of money, you have to become a buyer. And I see a lot of people, like, they want to be in the coaching game, right? But I'm like, you've not paid anyone to be your coach. So how can you coach other people? Like, what's your resume? You don't have any connections. You haven't met these people. You haven't paid anyone. And it's the same thing with, like, any of this stuff. Like, if you want to get into the car scene, you have to buy some cars.
Yep.
Right? And a lot of people want to be cheap, but all they're doing is they're making less money at the end of the day. Because what I started doing is I started watching these people, and I was like... hold on, like Ryan's paying all these people. Like Grant's at all these events. Gary's goes to all the events. These guys go on each other's podcasts. They're setting up these events. They're going here. They're paying these guys. I'm like, man, even at the top level, people have coaches, and they continue getting coaching, continue going to events, continue going to masterminds. And if you think like whoever you're following isn't going to a mastermind, isn't going to an event, you just don't know the caliber of events they're going to, because they're going to an event. Ryan's going to the 100 mil mastermind, right? So there's levels to this. And I think the biggest mistake is people decide to be cheap early on, because the other people around them are cheap, but the thing is they're not getting the results. So you have to figure out, if you want to get the results, you have to hone in on a few people that are getting them, and you have to just do what they do. And a lot of it comes down to investing in people, because you're paying for speed. Yes, I could get around, Ryan Stewman for free, right? It might take me a year, 2 years, or I could just pay him, right? Now I can pull up to his office. Now I can go grab lunch. And it's going to allow me to get speed, and that's what you're paying for, right? Because you can't afford to do this slow. Because everyone, my favorite quote, I think Ty Lopez said this, is if given enough time, everyone can get rich. It might just take them 100 years to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea is you want to do it fast. So how do you do it in a year? How do you do it in 2 years? And one of those guys is just paying people and getting in the room and getting the information, because even at the lower level, right, when you're with a group of idiots, they're passing on information too. It's just keeping you at the bottom, right? But when you get in the right room, the info you're getting is going to help you skyrocket to the next level. So,
and it doesn't have to be about like necessarily a mastermind. You're paying to get in the room of a charity. Why do you think all these fucking fancy celebrities go to the Met Gala? You think they really give a fuck about art? No, they want to go there. It's who's who. It's to be spotted in the room. I saw a video today on Instagram of Corday, who's a rapper. He's I think he used to be a YMBA guy, right? But he's solo now. But Corday and Bill Gates, they're at the Met Gala just talking. But if Corday wouldn't have been invited to the Met Gala to be in that room, which you have to make a donation to the charity in order to be to the museum in order to be in that room, right? If he wouldn't have paid to be in that room, and fuck Bill Gates, but I know my audience is going, what the fuck are you talking about? That's a cool thing, right? You get the point. He's having a real intimate one-on-one conversation with a billionaire, so much that they have the conversation muted out. They're probably talking about viruses, those fuckers.
And you know what's funny, man? I feel like, when you're poor, you have a mindset problem because you don't value contacts. You don't value relationships.
Or your time.
Every relationship you get, you're like, oh, fuck this job. Oh, and you ruin those relationships when in fact, like the really wealthy people, they're like, hold on. Like I can donate $1 million and then I can go to this gala with another 1,000 people that all donated $1 million. Yeah, let me do that. And then even the owners of the event, they're like, oh, we're going to set this up because why? It's a lot of value for the people coming. And it's crazy because you have to really shift your mindset because, when you're starting out, you don't even believe any of this stuff makes sense, right? And it's crazy because it starts changing, your mind starts changing, and that's when you actually start making money. So,
yeah, you think it is that way. Like you go to a seminar and you're like, it can't be that easy. And then you go back again, you're like, all right, I'm going to buy. And then your family goes, you're a fucking idiot. It's not that easy, right? But it's not that it's that easy. But if you're around the right people doing the right things, the right shit will happen. It's bound to happen. And like you said, it might take longer it's always going to take longer than you expect. You're young, and because of the attitude and the knowledge and wisdom that you're sharing here, you've been able to shorten that curve. I'm a little bit older, so I had to take and I'm pre-internet generation, so it took me a little bit longer. When I was 20, Google and shit didn't exist yet. You know what I mean? So
well, I think you were ahead of your time.
On mom. You'd be like, hey, mom, what is this? And my mom, she didn't know shit, but she act like she did. So I was full of misinformation. You know what I mean? I was like Facebook at the time.
Well, I think you were a little bit ahead of your time, man. I think all the Facebook posts and stuff you were doing, if you would have been like at my age now, you probably would have exploded, right? Because, the thing is right now it's just easier than ever. It's way too easy right now. People are getting viral just dancing on TikTok. So you're telling me like, people go on TikTok and they're like, oh, well, I don't want to give value. I don't want to post content there. It's just kids. But, those kids are going to get old. In 8 years, 10 years, right? Whoever's making content on TikTok right now, like Will Smith is viral on TikTok. I know he slapped, Chris Rock on stage, but he's viral right now. And I feel like in 10 years, he's still going to be viral. He's still going to be the main guy. He doesn't have to do anything. He's going to maintain his brand.
Yep, that's his brand. Exactly.
And so it's just about investing and getting out there. And I think you did that early when you were getting no results. A lot of people think you got results right away. You did it for years and years and years and years. You just posted a video, I think it was 12 years old or 10 years old, at 180 views. Yeah. And I was like, man, I saw it and I was like, man, this is crazy. Ryan's been doing this for a long time, bro. And it's crazy because even me, I was doing it for 2-3 years with no results, and then it just started popping off all of a sudden. So,
and that's 180 views after I posted it.
After you posted it,
you know what I mean? So like, think about that. But I did leave a comment on that video. It said, if old Ryan could see Ryan now, he'd be proud. You know what I mean? Because like, dude, I didn't quit, man. I wanted to fucking quit so many times thinking about that video. What people don't know is like, on that video, I didn't have no money for a haircut. I had rented my house out that I lived in. I owned a house for like $117. I bought it for $107,000. I rented it out for $1,200 a month. And my payment was like $800 a month. It cost me $400 to move all my shit. You know what I mean? It's like any minute me recording on a live Facebook and my phone bill is going to become due and it's going to get cut off, And what people don't understand is I paid the price for my integrity. Prior to that, I was selling this book. and it was how you can get money back on a mortgage financing. It'd be like a credit hack for you, right?
Yeah.
But I have been out of the business so long that some rule had changed, and 2 months went by, and ain't this a bitch? Just as I scaled and got the ad to take off, and I make 10, 20 grand a month or whatever the hell, I went all in, like 20, 30, 40, my life fucking savings because it was working. And then people hit me back and wanted refunds because the shit wasn't active anymore.
Man.
And I mean, it was only $9 here or $9 there, but I look back and it fucking broke me because I spent like 10 grand in refunds, right?
Absolutely.
So like literally broke me. I had to rent my house out, move in with in-laws. Like my whole fucking world's falling apart, but I'm like, I'm gonna figure it out, right? But now I look back, those little $9, maybe they would have put me on the ripoff report right out of the
Absolutely.
gate. And even though it wouldn't have made or break Shawn Sharma for me to give you $9 back or whatever for that book, man, it was like, fuck, my reputation's on the line. I don't want to fuck this up.
And that's something that I've seen in your character that was really, really huge for me to tap in with you and just even in the beginning just start following you because, even if something didn't go right, you were always willing to refund the people. And, that happens all the time in business. And I promise you guys, like, there's always 99 people that, take the easy way out. And Ryan always takes the hard way out. And I'm like, man, like this is what you're supposed to do, and this is why you end up. And now, like you're crushing it, man. You're one of the biggest masterminds there are right now, and I think it's because you've kept your word, you've kept your promise, you haven't ripped anyone off, you've done everything the right way. It's way, way harder, right?
Harder.
Everyone listening, it's way harder, right? So it's not about the money, but it's about building it the right way because you're going to be in business for the next 20 years, right? Whereas a lot of these guys, they might make a lot of money in 1 year, but next year they're gone.
And it was tough for the first 10 years. I've been doing it for 12. It was rough for the first 10 years, to be honest. And I've been making money. I haven't had less than a 6-figure year, but that's all relative because you're putting money back into your business. You could say you have a 7-figure year, but if you put 900 grand back into the business, which when in the beginning of any business, that's where you'd be a fool not to, but the last couple of years, it's been nice. But what's happened though, is for many years, somebody might say, oh, Stewman's a fraud or Stewman this, that, and the other. People might believe him to some extent. It's like, maybe he kind of looks like some bullshit. But because I have 12 years of always doing the right thing, somebody could pop up and be like, hey, this guy Stewman's fucking rip-off artist, where it's like, you better watch your fucking mouth. Not me saying it. There'll be 20 other people say, show us one fucking person he's ever ripped off. You know what I mean? But like, nobody asked me for a list. I got a list of people just rip me off. You know what I mean? I got a little checklist, but because they still owe me money technically.
It's crazy how like the winners though just like brush it to the side and just move on. That's one characteristic I've seen, man, because I know a lot of people, like, you'll always have a loss, you'll get ripped off, someone will do you wrong, business partner will steal from you.
It's part of being a human.
And a lot of people, they get stuck on it, and they'll always complain about it, and they'll be like, man, I used to have this big business, and now it's gone. But I've noticed all the winners, they just move on. They just keep building, they keep doing, they keep starting, from fresh, and they end up building something bigger than they even had before. And so I think that's a huge characteristic of people that are winning is they just keep going.
I hate that when I hear somebody's like, yeah, my partner, you end up crashing the business. Like, what kind of leader are you? You let a dude crash a business or a chick crash a bit? Like, that's you got to take some sort of responsibility.
Absolutely. They don't want to take accountability, man. They want to blame and then.
Well, I've noticed and this is where you and I are alike because you probably hear this too and you think the same way that I do because we've discussed it. It's like during the subprime meltdown, it ends in like 2010. 2014, I'm taking sales calls from loan officers. They're like, man, since the subprime days, shit just ain't been the same, right? Now I'm hearing COVID was 2020. It's fucking damn near 2023 at this point, And I'm hearing people all the time, well, shit ain't been the same since COVID. Like, no shit, motherfucker. We adapted,
You have to adapt, man. You got to be resourceful and you got to adapt to the times.
Yeah, like you waited 2 years to damn. I mean, the second that this shit hit, I'm like, man, we were lying on our feet ready to do whatever. We wasn't like, well, let's just see how this plays out. I'm like, this shit is wild. We got to be ready to move, but we will hear that excuse 2026. We'll hear since the election and since COVID or since whatever the little fucking manufactured thing that they want to use as their excuse. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, me and you are just like, man, fuck all that shit, dude. I'm just head down, whether it's happening and wild shit's going on, World War III or whatever the fuck, man. I'm just hammered down, focusing on my world because that's all I can control anyway,
Man, I think misery loves company, man. So when other people are complaining, they want to come to you and get you to start complaining too and not focus on what you're supposed to focus on. And it's crazy because, just like you said, they're still complaining about, COVID. And it's been 3 years, bro. 2 years. It's crazy.
Yep.
I think the next month I was doing something else to make money. I didn't even skip a beat. So
here's the thing that hopefully you'll agree with me on this, but like right now, so many people are distracted and filled with excuses to be non-productive. The government's going to bail me out. Gas prices are high, so I can't do this. Supply chain, and it's businesses, people, like they've all insert excuses, you know what I mean? That if you don't even have to be great. I always tell everybody, you want to be on the pursuit of excellence and greatness. Like, just be okay, and you are light years ahead of motherfuckers, because most fucking people right now are bad. You know what I'm saying? Like on the scale of like horrible, bad, okay, good, great. Most motherfuckers are bad right now by choice, right? They're bad by choice. So you don't have to be good or great anymore. You can just be okay, and you're fucking leading the pack by a long shot.
it's crazy, man. Just to be competitive and be ahead of everyone, you just have to have a little bit of focus. You just have to stick to the same thing for just a little bit of time. Because most people, they're doing e-commerce 1 month, then they're doing affiliate marketing the next month. Then they're like, oh, I'm going to build a brand and I'm going to help people. Next month, they're a coach. And so if you just stick to the same thing, I tell people if you stick to one thing for 24 months, there's just no way you're not going to succeed. You could be terrible. You could be absolutely terrible. You could be the worst at it. In 24 months, I promise you will be successful. If you just stick to that one thing and focus.
Yeah, and it all leans into 24 months, you're exactly right. You'd be good at anything. And how much financial pressure can you take for 24 months? Can you do a 24-month sentence of financial pain before you get some freedom?
And that's the thing, man. The biggest winners, they just can handle all the chaos.
Yep.
They handle all the chaos, and they just keep focused on the mission. And excuses, man, like I love you guys' phrase, fuck your excuses. But excuses, man, they sound good only to the people who make them. Everyone else that's listening to your excuses is just like, oh, wow. You know, and you're not building more relationships, you're not building more contacts, you're not advancing further in business, you're actually going the opposite way. So every time you're making an excuse, you're basically just telling the world you don't want to win. And then there's the people that could give you an opportunity like Ryan, they're not going to give you that opportunity because they're like, all right, well, he's already disqualified himself. He's already making excuses. It hasn't even gotten hard yet because once you start the business or you get to the next, it's going to get even harder, right?
Yep. One thing I know about life is even if you do the hard work, it never gets easier because there's always a curveball coming around the fucking corner, you know? You think, oh, man, I got tens of millions of dollars, blah, 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 and then it's some new regulation the government pushes. Or it's I got tens of millions of dollars, it's some back tax shit you didn't know about, like, or a customer's mad, or like, you never fucking know. You know what I mean? You never know. My buddy Shawn, big lions not sheep, you know, big business booming, and some fucking regulation change that mattered how they labeled their shirts, and he didn't know for 2 weeks, and just this 2-week little snafu caused this massive fucking headache, which he's got under control now, but like a massive month of distraction fucking headaches for some shit that's irrelevant, but there was, you know what I mean? It's like
Absolutely.
you get there's a curve button. He could have never seen that coming. I got a friend that got sued by a blind guy for not being able to read his website. I'm like, how the fuck is that even possible? But life's always got something for you.
Websites, yeah, that's crazy.
Life's always got something for you. So
Man,
you got to
so
be
I was
prepared.
doing so a lot of people ask, what do I do? So I've been in the credit repair space, so we fix people's credit. We also get businesses funding, right? There's a lot of money in both of those industries, but there's also a lot of people that scam in both of those industries,
Yes,
right?
there is.
And so
Especially credit.
there's a lot of regulation. So recently, man, they made some regulation where, you know, it's almost impossible to operate in those businesses, right? There's so many loopholes that exist, but if you want to do it the right way, you got to do this. And so I've gotten to a stage, man, where I'm like, all right, cool, we're going to do it the right way, right? And so actually, you know, I was a part of an 8-figure company that I left the company 2 years ago just because they didn't want to do it the right way. And I'm like, this is not worth it for me to, you know, go through the loopholes because everyone wants the easy way. And I think I've learned from you and all the other people that are ahead of me, man. And like, you know, there's no billionaires right now that took a shortcut and the shortcut just kept working for them, right? They all went the hard way and they built, you know, equity in the business the right way. And so I actually left that company that was doing 8 figures a year. People think I'm crazy, but you know, you have to kind of do it the right way or else it's all going to fall apart. You know, easy come, easy go. And it sucks, but you know, if you build things the right way, even if it's hard, right, it's going to be hard to take it away from you, right? You're going to build something that's going to last. And, you know, I'm in business for the next, you know, hopefully 50, 60 years. I'm not trying to make money this year. So, but yeah, man, like there's so many regulations in all these different industries and you guys might be an opportunity where you can make money today. But I would always say, man, just do it the right way because, you know, everyone that I've seen that's not done it the right way, they all regret it. They're like, yeah, bro, I made $50 million, but it wasn't worth it, right? So just do it from the right way from the beginning, because, you know, I think smart people, they learn from other people's mistakes, and that's what I've always tried to do, man. I try to pay everyone. You know, I pay Ryan 6 figures a year, and the reason is because I want to be around people that have already experienced it before me, and then you just make better decisions. By the way, I made an ROI on that in the first 2 weeks, so...
I remember us having the conversation about the job, you know, like
Yeah.
before should you leave and stuff. I remember us talking about that a couple years ago too. Like before you were a client, we were just friends, and I remember having that conversation at either a breakout or something. So
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Ryan.
you know, I had Thor from, you know, Game of Thrones, the Mountain.
Oh,
big
yeah.
dude. He was here earlier, and when he was here earlier, we were talking about, you know, he's making the transition from becoming an athlete into, you know, now this business person, and you know, and trying to go and focus on growing a business in the same way of, you know, that he grew as athletic, you know, to go and out there and win in the marketplace, you know. And it's really cool to see the spark that comes in somebody's eye, you know. And in your business with credit, for example, you know, keeping your word 100% of the time matters, you know.
Huge.
For Thor, example, the reason why I brought him up is the reason why he's promoting his skyr, which is like a Icelandic yogurt, basically. It's really good stuff. But the reason why people will buy that is because he has a long line of integrity. You know what I mean? He's always done stuff the hard way. He doesn't have any the shortcuts that you see a lot of the other people do. Same. It's like, you know, when you can do something the right way. Because here's the thing, there's an old story about a guy who was a great farmer. He was the greatest farmer of all time. Everybody loved his vegetables that he grew in his garden. They loved the meat from the cows that they slaughtered. But he fucked a goat one time and they caught him. And so he was never a farmer again. He was just Nicky the goat fucker. No matter how good of a farmer he was, you know, he fucked one goat and then you just lost it all, right? And that's how it works for credit too. And if there's one thing I can tell you, credit is a reflection in all reality of your integrity in general. Because if you won't keep your word with a bank that gave you money, how are you going to keep your word with your friends, your family, and all that stuff? And if you're going to be in business, the first thing anybody's going to judge you by is your credit. So first of all, if you don't have your credit repaired, you need to get with Shawn or somebody like Shawn, but I recommend Shawn obviously to get that handled. Second of all, once you get good credit, that's the cool thing about what you do is you also say, hey, now we can get you some capital and shit to get your business started and going.
Absolutely, man. A lot of people don't understand that you can get 0% business credit. So a lot of people, they get credit cards and maybe they'll be convinced by someone. They'll say, hey, buy this Amazon store for me or buy this Mastermind or whatever, put it on your Chase card. But really, guys, you want to leverage 0% business credit. The reason you want to leverage 0% is you don't pay any interest for 12 months. So really, guys, it really is free money. You just owe back that amount. You don't pay no interest for 12 months. And then you want to do business credit because it doesn't report on your personal credit report. That means that I could owe $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 on my business cards, but I don't have my score falling. When I use my personal credit, if I use more than 30% of my personal credit, let's say you have a $10,000 limit card, if you max out that one $10,000 card, if it's over 30%, your score starts falling, and if it's maxed out, your score goes down 100 points. Yep. Now I can't get any more loans, I can't get any more credit, basically just screwed, right? But if I use my business cards, which is what you guys want to start doing, you can leverage those, you can max those out, you can have money on those, and you can still always get more credit and more credit and more credit. And so the biggest thing, guys, is you get the 0% business credit, you leverage that to take some risks in your business. Obviously, you have to do the research, make sure it's a good risk, but I feel like if you take enough risks, some of those will work out. And usually in business, if you're focused and you're going to stick to it for 24 months, those returns are usually exponential. You only need a few good things to line up for you to really succeed at what you're doing. So whether you're missing information, right, whether you're missing certain employees, whether you just need money to run ads, right, that's what credit can be used for. And then once you start making money with your business, you put all those expenses on your credit instead of putting it from the bank account. And then now you'll start earning free points.
Revolving points.
Every month. And then even, it's crazy, man, because like I had a buddy, he runs ads. He'll run a couple $100K a month in ads and he'll break even or make like a little bit of money. He'll spend $300K to make like 10 grand profit. And other people would be like, bro, you're crazy. Why are you trying to do this, make 10K? He's like, bro, I just got 300,000 points. I'm going to go take $100,000, I'm going to take a $50,000 trip with this. And so,
or you can use that shit for just about anything.
Anything,
you know
yeah.
What I mean, like, hey, I can use these for a business trip. I can, I've got these points over here that I can go set up shop in a WeWork, because Amex ties into WeWork, so I can go over here and set up shop in LA at a WeWorks where I can be around the people that I need to be or whatever. So
absolutely. And even if you guys have a lot of cash, you're like, I have cash, man. I can buy a Lambo. I can buy a house. You still want to leverage credit because what you can literally do, man, is like a lot of people, like, they see people buying, a Rolls Royce, and some people have to pay the whole $450,000 cash, right?
Which sucks.
But if you have history of buying vehicles and paying off those loans, right, you get that same car $80,000 down, right? But this is the thing.
I bought my McLaren, $400,000, 0% down.
0% down, right?
I didn't even pay the tax.
So Ryan's built up his credit really well. So you get to 0% down eventually too. And then what happens, guys, is he puts 0 down, but if it's over a certain weight, or if he puts certain insignias on it, brands it for Apex, he can actually write it off.
Hell yeah. That shit's in my company name.
He gets the whole write-off, year one. He could depreciate it all year one. I don't know how exactly it works, but you could talk to a tax person for that. But guys, like, literally the benefits of credit is crazy. One of my buddies just bought a jet, and he was supposed to put down like $400,000, but instead of him putting out $400K cash, he had stocks. He moved the stocks over to a custodial account with a small credit union. They gave him about 75% loan to value, so he got $300K out as a loan. Actually, I think he ended up getting the whole $400 because he had way more in stocks. But basically, he ended up using that to put down on the jet, and he's only paying, I think, 3% interest on that, right? So you can leverage. It gives you leverage, guys. That's what all the richest people do, is they get leverage on their money, right? Because if you're making good decisions, because there's two sides of it, right? If you're making bad decisions and you're losing money, you don't want to have leverage, because you're literally going to go broke way quicker.
You better call Dave Ramsey.
But if you know what you're doing and you're making money in your business and you're successful and you're making good decisions, if you get access to more money, you're just going to make more money. Yep. And you don't need someone to give you the loan. You can actually just build your own credit. If you're in the U.S., everyone has a social security number. Everyone starts off with the same clean slate. All you have to do is just build up the history on there. It takes time, but once you do it, anyone can get a couple $100K in credit lines. And now you're basically in position to go make money, right? Everyone complains to me like, oh man, I can't do business because I don't have any money. But I'm like, bro, you have credit. So if you believe in yourself, right, use your credit. And a lot of people will go max out their card at Nike or Macy's or whatever store credit, and they'll spend it on $1,000 and their credit's ruined now. And I'm like, bro, like, if you were gonna do that, you might as well have invested in yourself and try to start that business, because it's the same thing. Whether you have $1,000 in collections and you ruined your credit and it's $500, or you have $300,000 in collections and you ruined your credit, it's the same thing, right? And there's billionaires that are billions of dollars in debt, like Donald Trump's. He's gone bankrupt 3 or 4 times, but
Cardone's billions in debt.
Billions in debt, yeah.
He talks about it all the time.
But these guys just leverage all these different things that, for whatever reason, when you're poor, you're told not to use credit. And it's actually, only from watching people that are successful, I've figured these things out. So, you guys have the benefit, because you guys can listen to me and Ryan. You guys could be like, oh, this is bullshit. Or you guys could be like, wait, hold on. Let me actually listen to this, because maybe these guys are onto something. And once you guys start implementing the stuff, man, I promise you guys' life would change.
It's exactly what I do. So how do they get a hold of you to find this stuff?
Absolutely. So my Instagram is @Shawn Sharma, and I post a lot of content there. I'm starting to get big on YouTube, man. So I'm gonna be dropping a lot of gems on YouTube. That's also @Shawn Sharma. So if you guys want to learn the credit, the travel hacks, how to fix your credit, I'm gonna be showing all that stuff on there for free. So
I follow him. That's how we got connected. Like I said, plus he lives a good life. So you see somebody interested to, as a family man that has to live here and tied down in Texas, I like watching you travel the world and be free. I'm like, man, when my kids get 18, that's what I'm going to be doing. So,
well, I got to come out to Cabo with you guys at one time. So.
Yeah, definitely. So I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you.
And you guys look up Shawn, follow him, and man, he can help you with your credit situation. It's basically what he's giving you is a hack to get free money from the companies for using credit responsibly. So check him out. Appreciate you guys listening. Catch you on the next episode.
Thank you.